What's up, folks? This is Justin from Books, Bricks, and Boards. Tonight I'm going to talk to you about the Walking Dead Universe RPG. I know what you may be thinking. If you've been watching my polls, you might think, I thought he said that he was going to do Vossen after he did the Warhammer video.
Oh, you better be joking.
That is true. Unfortunately, the Warhammer video wasn't quite as strongly performing as I thought it might.
Don't care.
So we're going to wait to do Vossen until there's a better time in the schedule. That said, I'm very excited to talk to you about the game that I'm going to be talking about tonight. You might have watched my video a couple of months ago on the Zombicide RPG, Zombicide Chronicles. Well, this one is actually what I wanted that one to be. Zombicide Chronicles was clearly inspired by the Free League Mutant Year Zero system, but this is truly a Mutant Year Zero zombie game.
Hot diggity dog.
But is the IP worth the squeeze? Well, we're going to find out. Let's get into it.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
So this is the Walking Dead Universe RPG by Free League. This was written and developed by Neil Heinz.
Hell's his name?
Niels Heinz. And it is based upon the AMC television series, not the comic books. If that's going to be an issue for you, you should know that right up front. The basic system is going to be very familiar to anybody that's played Free League games, as it uses their in-house Mutant Year Zero system. This uses a more traditional version of the system than some of the recent fare, but it is most close, in my opinion, to the Alien implementation of the system. That being said, there are some differences. If you are new to the Mutant Year Zero system, we'll go ahead and go over that right now. You basically are going to have an attribute, a skill, and then adds from gear. So, for example, if your attribute value was a 3, and the skill attached to the action you wanted to take was a 2, and you got a +2 for the gear you were using, this is how many dice you would roll. You'd roll the dice, and you'd be looking for 6s. Or, on these custom Free League dice, you'd look for the targets. Now, since I didn't roll any targets or 6s on my first roll, I failed. However, I can push the roll and roll again. Anytime you push a roll, you add stress to your character. This stress die will be added to all your future rolls until your stress has been removed through healing. And I get to roll again because I pushed my roll. Okay, I got 2 successes, so I will succeed, and then I get a little bit extra. Now, if I would have rolled a Walker hand on this stress die, that would have meant I messed up. Now, I still succeeded because I got the targets, but messing up has consequences. Maybe your gun jammed, maybe you ran out of ammo. If it's a driving roll, maybe your vehicle ran out of fuel, so on and so forth. That is the basics of the system. It is a die pool, and you're trying to roll 6s, and you're trying to avoid 1s specifically on the stress dice. On your regular dice, a 1 doesn't mean anything. Other things that are a little bit different about some of the different Mutant Year Zero systems: the damage is a basic health point system. You're going to have 3 health points, as are any of your standard enemies, not walkers. We'll deal with those later. And the way that the combat system works is a little bit different. In the Walking Dead Universe RPG, there is an opposed roll combat system. The participant that gets the higher result is going to be the one that inflicts damage upon the other. So if I have 2 characters that are shooting at one another, and one gets 2 successes and one gets 3 successes, the one with 3 successes is going to actually shoot the other, and the first one, even though they succeeded technically on the roll, are not going to get any damage on their target. Combats are broken down into duels, brawls, and fighting the dead. Duels are going to be a simple 1v1 matchup, and they don't have to be restricted to only 2 characters, as you can break down a larger combat into several separate duels. A lot like the show does. Typically when Negan and Rick were fighting, You would also get clips of other characters fighting one-on-one as well. That kind of a thing is what you're looking at with duels. You can also do brawls, which is a more traditional combat system, but at its basics, it's still just going to be opposed roles trying to get a better success than your opponent. Now, there are cases where opponents will be helpless, meaning they don't roll, and then just any success is going to do. Now, where the game really departs from the set system of Mutant Year Zero is whenever you're fighting the dead. When you end up encountering the dead, they have two basic characteristics. They have the swarm size, which is an abstract way of telling you how many walkers are in the swarm. And those numbers work like this. For 5 to 10 walkers, you have a swarm size of 1. 11 to 20 is a 2. 21 to 50 is 3. 51 to 100 is 4. 100 to 1,000 is 5. And above 1,000 is 6. Then you also have their threat. Now, a threat is describing how active the walkers are and how aware they are of you being in their area. So, if you are at a threat level of 0, there are no walkers around, nothing to worry about, for now at least. If you're at a 1, there's some walkers around, but they're just kind of milling and they don't know that you're there. But if you roll a walker hand or mess up on a roll, then there's a good chance that they may notice you and start to check out that situation. At a 2, there's some walkers that are close by, but they're still not really locked onto you yet. At a level of 3, they know you're there, and they're going to shamble towards you, and you got to fight them, or you have to escape. Whenever you end up fighting walkers, you're going to worry about adding those two characteristics, the threat and the size, and that is going to equal what they call the swarm threat. Whenever you end up battling the walkers, you're going to get to roll 3 skill rolls against the swarm threat, and you need that many successes or better in order to win the round or the combat. If the size of the swarm is a 3 or less, then 1 victory will get you out of the combat. You either kill them all or you kill enough of them that you've got a path to escape. If they were a size 4 or higher, then you drop the swarm size down 1 and continue with another round. Individually, walkers can be avoided by rolling mobility. If you fail to do so, though, you may raise the threat level. That means that they notice you. Or maybe you just suffer a single attack. Now, attacks from walkers are really cool because they use a D66 table, and there's all sorts of great cinematic results on that table, including several where you just die outright. Or perhaps you just get a few bumps and bruises, or maybe you get a bite where you can amputate the body part and survive. However, if you end up fighting a full swarm and you don't win the round, you fail, then the swarm is going to attack. There's 3 different ways that it can attack, and it's going to depend upon the threat level as to what skills you can use to resist. There are single attacks. This is where a single walker attacks a PC with 1 attack, and you roll randomly to see who has to try to defend against that attack. You still get a skill roll to avoid it. There is the block maneuver, where the swarm basically wedges itself in such a way that you can no longer use mobility or stealth to get away from it. And the last one is the worst. It's called mass attack. You roll a random die to see who is attacked by the swarm, and then you just take a hit from the walkers, which could mean just automatic death. You don't get a skill roll whenever it's a mass attack. You just have to see what the fates give you. And that is how walker combat works in the Walking Dead universe. I really like this. It's an abstraction. It makes the walkers more mindless and more of an obstacle rather than an enemy. And I think that's how they were really portrayed.
That ain't the coolest thing I've ever heard in my life.
One of the really cool features of the Walking Dead Universe RPG is the Haven. Several of the Mutant Year Zero engine games have some sort of a stronghold mechanic where you can upgrade and maintain your base. The Haven in the Walking Dead universe is that component. The thing I like about this better than some of the other versions is that it's very simple. Your Haven has two statistics, capacity and defense. Capacity determines how many individuals can be supported by the resources and amenities of the Haven, while defense indicates how well fortified it is against attacks, and it will give you bonuses based on the defense number if your characters are attacked while they're in the Haven. It also determines how big of a swarm it would take to overrun your Haven. Now, like most Free League games, the Havens have great random tables for creation and for determining random miscellaneous events that happen. We call them issues in the Walking Dead Universe RPG. There are also optional projects that you can take to upgrade your Haven to give additional functionality and increase your capacity or defense. These all have very simplistic rules, but they allow you to really envision what is going on. There's some great examples in the book of different types of Havens, and they will make for a nice home for your characters to return to between missions. Speaking of missions, there are some very nicely laid out, but not overly complicated rules for going on supply runs in the game. Those will give you the feel of living in a world where resources are scarce and the world is dangerous. The real meat of the game comes in the different campaign tools. There are some great options for creating factions and rumors and different adventure hooks to send your parties out on, and there is a complete campaign setting, I would call it, that is based upon the Atlanta area where most of the early parts of the TV show took place. But that's not all, because when you get to the back of the book, in the different appendices, there is an entire section on solo play. The solo play options in the Walking Dead Universe RPG are, like the rest of the game, a simplified version from what you'll see in most of the Free League products. For example, the Oracle is a simple D6 Oracle. Ask a yes or no question. A 1's an extreme no, a 6 is an extreme yes, 2 and 3 is a no, 4 and 5 is a yes. That simple. Along with that, there are some themes that you can use to get some indication of descriptions of questions, answers, and there is a nice messing up oracle to give you ideas of how things can go so very wrong. The really neat part is that it will help to mimic the community aspect of the full game when playing with a table full of players by helping you create an entire haven of NPC survivors, including one that you're going to call your anchor, which you would have in the regular game as well. In the solo game, you're going to choose an NPC as an anchor. That is going to kind of be your center point. Whenever you can spend time with your anchor, either shooting a game of pool or having a beer, you are going to be able to relieve stress. You can do that once per session and relieve all of the stress that you've accumulated and get back to being a normal survivor again. There's some great rules about how to create conflict between the different NPCs and your characters, and about developing challenges for your haven to have to deal with. There are some really good tracking sheets at the back of the book, and you can also download those online from Free League's website. And overall, the procedural aspect of the Walking Dead RPG would make it a fine game to solo without this appendix, but adding the solo play rules right to the back of the book just is icing on the cake, and Free League is really getting quite good at including solo rules in their RPGs. And I would just have to say, moi, chef's kiss on that, because you guys are knocking it out of the park.
The first step of the condition piece.
Now, for the Walking Dead RPG, right now, you have the core rules, which has everything that you're going to need to play, and it is also going to have your solo rules in the back. And then you also are going to have the Walking Dead universe starter set, and Free League are truly the kings of the starter sets right now. I buy every Free League starter set for a game of theirs that I'm going to be playing, even though I typically don't use the pre-made characters or even the missions in there. But I love their maps. In this case, you get a really cool map of North Georgia, and then on the back side, it is Southwest Virginia. So with those, you can kind of establish where your haven is at and be able to track what you've found along the way during your campaign. There's also some neat maps that go along with the adventures that will give you some nice fodder for kind of explaining to your players what's going on. There is a simplified version of the rulebook, which is going to include everything that you need to play, just not character creation. And then there is the Wolves Den survival mode scenario. And I did mention that this is most similar to the Alien RPG, and like the Alien RPG, this uses stress dice, but also like the Alien RPG, there are two different specific modes of play. There is survival mode and campaign mode. Survival mode is going to be a one-shot. It's going to be probably very gritty and very deadly. You're going to lose survivors. Campaign mode still can be pretty deadly, but the idea is that you're building a community and you're working towards a goal, not just a one-shot. That is a brief look at the Walking Dead RPG. There is the Walking Dead RPG screen, by the way. But what are my thoughts? Well, probably no surprises here. I love Free League. I like The Walking Dead. I like zombies in general. And I like being able to find ways to use my miniatures for my wargaming career. So this is going to be a big hit for me. But this was a surprise in just how well thought out the implementation of the walkers as obstacles instead of traditional enemies was. And I really like that the solo rules were included in the core rulebook. They're simple, but they stick close to the regular game rules, and it encourages you to play a full campaign with the included solo rules, giving you a real Walking Dead universe experience, even if you can't get a full group together. I think that this game would be of interest to folks that are fans of the series, but also anyone that just has a love of zombie genre games in general, and anybody that likes the Free League Mutant Year Zero system. That is my thoughts.
Y'all know nothing?
On the Walking Dead Universe RPG. I'd love to hear yours. If you'd like to comment, we can have that conversation.
I'd like to have a calm discussion on this topic. You think we can manage that?
If you are enjoying my videos, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, this has been Justin with Books, Bricks, and Boards. Good gaming, and God bless.